This isn't part of a coloring book, of course. This is just my sketchbook. But I wanted to show you a finished piece of wood, just one of my practice pieces. And it never hurts to practice a technique right before you actually put it to a book. I do that all the time. What we're actually going to work on today is this piece. And let's see if I can we're going to do the wood barrel. And this book is from Clara Makova. And she is definitely one of my favorite coloring book artists. The first thing I did, of course, was picked my palette. Now, I basically took out all the browns because the different hues are great. And in addition to the browns that you pick out, whether you want it to be on the darker side or the lighter side, you're going to need your canary yellow, your black, yes, my little nubby black, and white. Now remember, your black and white and your grays are going to be your tint tones and shades. I'm going to be using a cooler gray. If you don't use the cooler gray, you're going to use French gray because French gray goes with wood. And the cooler gray, because the browns that I'm choosing are going to be more on the cooler side, and the colors around it. So I'm either going to use this cool gray or I'm going to use the French grays. A lot by the wood that I had done on the tree is the same. We're going to start out by making small lines. I don't ever go with the lines that are on the objects. It's almost impossible to do. But we're going to just go in and make some sharp lines. I'm going to leave the knots that they have already drawn in the book. I'm going to go around them because knots are very important when you're rendering wood. It kind of gives it an extra bit of something. I started this out with burnt ochre. Burnt ochre is a mid-range brown, sort of on the reddish side. It almost doesn't matter because there's going to be so much color variations in this that whatever color you pick up, it really doesn't make too much of a difference. I'm going to switch over to a darker brown, and I'm going to use actually the dark brown. I'm going to keep switching my colors until the bottom row is done. I mean, if you want to go with the cherry wood, something that's cherry wood, you would use a little bit more red. The darker woods, a little of the darker brown. The yellow woods, you would use a little bit more of the yellower browns. So your color combination is whatever you can think of that you want your object to be. I'm just setting the tone for it. I'm going to get a little bit yellow in there. This is sandbar. The more colors you choose, the more you get out of it at the end. Now remember, this is just my first pass. This is just setting the tone for the barrel. It's not really anything that really looks like, wood yet. Okay, now I'm going to use the black. You do want to get black in there so that you get dimension in it. And I use my black with a very sharp tip. Using a sharper tip will give you sharper lines. At this point, I could have gotten out a harder wax, but I know a lot of people don't own the Verathins. I'm going to just stick with the Prismacolor, which most people that are doing, go for. Once I've filled this barrel up with lots of rich colors, I'm going to switch over to my second layer, and I'm going to get out my magnifying glass because this is very important. I'm going to make sure my tips are very sharp, and using my magnifying glass, I'm going to really go in and see where I missed. I'm being very specific about where I'm putting my colors so that I don't get too much in one area of one color. I want to make the color stripes very uniform. And every stroke that I'm doing is deliberate. This is not one that you scribble. You know how much I love when people scribble. Once you get a nice thick layer of wax on the page, you're going to now start to shade it. And for the shading, I'm going to use sandbar and where's my gray? I've got 50% French gray and 90% cool gray. Well, I'm going to start off with my French gray. Like I always say, when you're using nature colors, you go with the French grays, just because it goes nicer. Since this is metallic going around, I know that right underneath is going to be darker, so I'm going to fill in right underneath so that I can give the barrel a rounded look and more depth. I'm going to go further down on the sides with the coloring so that it starts to form a round ball. And my light source is coming in right from the front because I'm going to do this metallic and it'll come out nice that way. So that's where my light is going to come in from. I'm going very short with my lines on the top and a little bit longer on the bottom. And that's just the way it'll come out looking better, the way the shadows fall. Now, what makes a intermediate colorist is everything becomes about the shadow. I'm not worried about my technique of blending anymore. Blending has become very natural, and you have a good concept of how to shape things. Now the whole picture becomes about shadows. Shadows is what makes it look real as opposed to flat. It brings out the 3-dimension in the picture. If you are a beginning colorist, don't stress about it. All these concepts will come in time. As you start to see the world differently, and you just let the artistic process take shape. Nobody learns to draw in a day. Beginners should be concentrating on learning how to blend and pick your colors. Intermediates should be concentrating on creating shapes with just color. More advanced artists, well, I don't think I had anybody pipe up and say they felt like they were an advanced colorist. I think of advanced colorists as people who can create such fine detail with the pencil that it's hard to tell whether an object is real or not. And that takes a lot of time, and it happens not so much with coloring books, but when you're sketching on your own, if you're looking to do something that's photogenically real, or the problem is some coloring books, you're stuck with the lines. So, and they're not really that real. And in advanced coloring, you're not really using the lines. In fact, your lines are so soft that they disappear into the picture. For my beginning students, just getting the texture is good. For my intermediate students, go back to your magnifying glass, and now what I want to do is I'm going to start making sure that the highlights are there. Now, wood is not really a reflective material per se, but it is a little bit. What's going to get reflective over here are the objects that are around it, and that would be the metallic bands that I'm putting on it. Also keep in mind that every colorist, every artist does things different. I'm teaching you what I do and how it works out for me. I'm assuming you're here because you like the way I do art, so you can pick up the tips. Okay, I'm going to start working. There's a knot. And the knot's going to be darker and slightly more reflective. I'm going to add a green. I'm also going to pull the knot down slightly just to give it a little bit more of a realistic look. I'm going to also add in a little bit of black. I'm giving the outside a little bit of a harder line. Basically right now, as far as my color palette is going, I'm just picking colors as I see it necessary. This is something you kind of pick up naturally to be able to do, and I guess it's more of an advanced skill. But you'll be able to do that, especially since the browns are limited on the colors that you're going to be using. So really any color that you pick up is not going to ruin your picture. You're not going to suddenly stand out. Okay, I'm going to start working in my silver. And the colors I've picked for the silver, as pathetic as my little white pencil is, it's getting small. My black is pretty bad too. Black, white. I'm going to use a silver. I'm using 70% cool gray and a 20% cool gray. You can also use your French grays. Warm grays may work too, depending on your surrounding colors. It's all what you like. I'm going to start off with my mid-range, and that's going to be my 20%. And I'm going to just work my way around. I'm not worrying about my dots on there. I'm going to move over into my silver. Adding in my black. Now I'm going to scrub in my white. I'm going to use a little bit of Posca. So after working on it for about an hour, this is my final product. I hope you enjoyed this and try it on your own. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
See more? Hit that like and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that bell.